Welcome everyone to the Every Week We Follow Villa podcast with myself, James Clifton, and my good friend here, Gary Bennett. How you doing, Gary?
Yeah, good. Every week we follow the boys in claret and blue. I don't know if to sing that every week or not. I
Oh
don't know.
yeah,
But
unfortunately at the moment, that's
it's not worth
probably
chanting,
not
is
something
it?
you want to brag about.
Yeah. Hello,
Yeah,
everyone.
yes, exactly. So let's just get straight into it. Obviously, we've just come off the back of a dreadful 3-0 drubbing at Chelsea. Give me your thoughts, mate. Give me your thoughts.
Well, my first thought was, mate, I didn't watch it, which I'm really happy about because I think I would have broken TVs and remotes and all sorts. I was driving back from Mansfield and my daughter had it on in the car watching it on the phone, and after the second goal went in, she just turned the phone off, and I was like, "Oh, that can't be good."
Wow.
And obviously, I've watched the highlights back last night, and uh, it's so difficult to pinpoint what the hell's going wrong because we just this is my take on it. I feel this is my initial thought is that the players that we've had that probably overperformed last season, of like so Watkins, Bailey, they were on fire last year. I think these two in particular have hit a ceiling, and they haven't quite grasped and are not coping with the demands of the Champions League and the Premier League together. And it just means
Do you
that
think that's what it is? Do you think the Champions League has made that much of a difference?
I mean, I didn't think it would, but I think it has. And I think the expectation is because we started so well in the Champions League and in the league that we could just turn up and win games. And everybody knows that's not how football works. But you've got to put in the work rate, the commitment, and for the last, let's be honest, 7 games, it's been lacking. Like there's been no desire, no, and we've spoke about this off camera, but tempo to our play, mate. And yesterday was the same. It felt like we were very slow in moving the ball. We would, which means you're sloppy in possession, and it just you then get no rhythm to your play. And when you do create something, you're lashing at it and not taking the opportunities that are in front of you. And we've got this the worst case scenario in football where we're leaking goals for fun and can't score.
Yeah.
And so the 12th position in the league is probably justified at the minute.
It's not. What's confusing for me is that it's just kind of come out. Well, I don't think it's come out of the blue. The end of last season, we had a bit of a dodgy run. I think I can't remember how long it was, but we didn't have a win for quite some time. I think we had a few draws and quite a few losses. And I think a lot of people put that down simply to just the team were done. Like the team were dead. We had injuries galore.
Yeah.
And we were just knackered. I think that's part of it. I think that this season, I think there's more teams playing like we do now. And I
Yeah.
think so. I think a lot of teams are starting to work out how to play against teams like this, or are playing more often, so they're having to work it out. And so I think there's a bit of a case of teams know that if they play counter attack, fast football against us, they're more than likely going to get at least 2-3 really good chances against us. And we just don't have the pace at the back. We don't have the kind of awareness, things like corners where we're overcommitting. We don't have the players also on the wing who are keeping them pinned in to stop their wings backs kicking on.
Yeah.
Or so we're sitting high but with the ball, and we're also losing the ball too often in those positions, which is meaning then we can't get back. We've got Luca Dean who's bombed on. We've got Matson, which was the case against like Palace.
Yeah.
You got Cash at right back who also is probably overlapping. So we're just getting caught short massively at the back. So I dread about Brentford next week or on Wednesday. With Embremo and all them lots running at us. That's going to be like quite scary.
Yeah.
But yeah, I can't put my finger. I think that's the thing. I can't put my finger on what we can change.
Well, I think you've hit the nail on the head there. I think teams have started to work us out. and we got lucky. I think you're absolutely right in what you say at the end of last season. We were lucky to hold on to that 4th spot, weren't we? Results went for us, with Spurs into the season and stuff. So we managed to kind of get lucky. And unfortunately, FFP has screwed us big time because we haven't been able to. We've got rid of Douglas Luiz, we got rid of Diaby, and
Diaby was bigger than I think people.
100%, mate. And we haven't replaced really both of those. Do you know what I mean? And I think that's affected Bailey, and therefore we're not posing the threat. I think Watkins is now solely reliable as our main goal scorer, and because his confidence is low, he's taking he's just not hitting the numbers that he was last year. So I think it's like you say, it's so difficult because I think it's accumulation of all those things, which means that there's not one thing to change. Like everything's got to click. So I think at the very basics, I would strip it back now and just stop conceding goals. We've got to stop. Like forget about scoring. You've got to stop conceding. So
was it last season where we got drubbed? I can't remember. I don't know if it's last season or the season before. We got drubbed by someone. I can't remember who it was. And then Emery just went like back to basics, and he basically just went. We went really solid at the back, and I think we had something like 5 clean sheets on the bounce straight after that.
Yeah.
And we just built up from there. It does feel like we need to kind of go back to that really, and just keep it solid at the back.
Well, because we've got to sort out our best defence. The centre half pairings, whether it
he's rotating a lot.
It's neither of them work. Like I thought when I saw the lineup yesterday, I actually thought that looks a bit more balanced, and
I thought
maybe we'll be all right. But we have just a shocking start, and the first goal, it's a calamity of like missed chances. Like Jaden's lying on the floor, barely being touched, and expecting a free kick, and you go, "Come on, boys!" And we're all claiming for the free kick rather than being switched on. Yeah. And the fact that Jackson scored, like one of the, God. The frustration is real, mate. And the second goal, we might as well just it was like parting of the Red Sea. Do you know what I mean? Nobody made a tackle. He ran 10 yards into our area without a tackle and scores from, I think, probably the penalty spot. And you go, these are avoidable goals. Do you know what I mean? And the third one, again, Leon Bailey. Oh my days!
It's a great hit, but you can't give Cole Palmer just that kind of space on the edge.
No, you can't.
Right. We've seen that a lot. We've seen that actually quite a lot this season, where the ball's gone out to the edge of the box and we haven't closed it. Yeah. And they've just ended up just gone bang, goal. Yeah. And it's like, okay, we've got Emi Martinez, but
mate, actually, when we played Chelsea in the league last year at home, Conor Gallagher did exactly the same. He scored from the same position.
Yeah, he did. Yes, I do remember that. Yeah.
And yesterday, if you look at Leon Bailey's attempt to close him down, right, if you can call it that, like I'd be sending him back on a plane, mate. I'd be like, it's just not good enough because it's that for me at professional level is unacceptable. Do you know what I mean? Your position essentially, you know what a player like Cole Palmer is going to do from that position, and it's just you're inviting him inside, and then there's no attempt to block the shot, and it's a great finish, but it's again I think it's avoidable if you're switched on, and at the moment because we're lowing that Bailey's low in confidence particularly, he's just all over the shop defensively. He's a shadow of the player he was last year. He had his best season for us last year by a country mile, and now he just looks. He looks like a championship player.
Everything he touched turned to gold last season. Yeah. But so obviously we know that like defensively we're frail. I think part of that is I don't know if we're mentally tired, which seems crazy because we're only like 12 games into the season. But everyone talks about Emery's intensity and how detailed he is in his analysis and how he is with every single game. So I can imagine it being quite mentally draining as well as physically. And then that would kind of explain why we're making these silly mistakes. Pass back. The pass back where Martinez picks it up. It's just literally like, either Emery needs to like not pick that up and kick it, or I don't know why Powell wasn't just banging it, mate. Boot it.
Like it's all right, Tyrone. I've got you back. Don't worry about picking the ball up. And then
I'll screw this up even more, so you might get played again.
Maybe you'll get some more minutes, because And then Emery's pass that we got away with I don't know who he passed it to. Was it?
No, I don't know. No, this is the thing. I don't know who he was trying to pass it to, but all I know is he passed it straight to Nicholas Jackson.
Yeah,
it's just like,
okay,
what are
he
you
recovered
doing?
really well. But what
Did a
he
brilliant
did,
save from it. Yeah, no, it's fantastic.
well, like I think overall yesterday just very much felt like we again. Uh, 3-0 seems like we gifted it to them, but if you look at the goals, and we still created probably 2 or 3 good chances, but we just didn't look like scoring in any one of them, and it's a concern. It really is. I don't think the wheels have come off 100%. And if I'm honest, if if there's anybody I'd want at the helm, it's definitely Emery to turn it around. Like I'm not
Yeah.
kind of thinking panic stations just yet, because
Oh
if in all
God, no.
honesty, right, yeah, but mate,
Just on that though. Just on that though. How many losses do you think he can have? As in, so for or not losses. Okay, winless run.
well,
Do
mate,
you think? Do you think basically he gets the season if it goes all the way like and we end 15th?
mate, I would give him all the time in the world because we
Yeah, me too.
massively overachieved last year. Um, he's a world class coach. If he is able to bring in the players that he wants and better players, right? Um, I think we go forth and we start challenging again, but it's not the answer because even some of the stuff I've read today, mate, like from in Villa forums, like
Oh,
Villa fans, you should be
people
ashamed of
crap.
yourselves,
Yeah,
right?
people crap. People
Like
kill me, man.
the internet's a dangerous place, and it shouldn't be allowed for people to talk on it sometimes, right?
Like us.
Um,
Like us right now.
like us, we've all got our opinions, but some people are absolutely just delulu, right? So
Yeah.
you, you, you if even if worst case scenario, let's say we go on another like a 10-15 game up like without a win, right? And everyone's calling for his head, which everyone would be because that's the nature of football. Who do you replace him with?
No.
Who comes in and takes over at the Villa that's going to do a better job than Emery? Like this is the problem that every Villa fan has got in the last 12 months, and that our trajectory's been woof, right, and now we're coming down. It's about stabilising the ship. Like at the end of the day, qualifying, we're still, if we turn it around, we're still not a million miles away from the European places, top 6,
6
decent
points off.
quarterfinals of the
6 points off.
Champions League,
Top
mate.
6.
Like I think would be a good season. But don't get me wrong. In an ideal world, you want to be qualifying for the Champions League again, but it's tougher league this year.
What do you
And
think? What do you think if we finish quarterfinals of Champions League but get like 8th and miss out on Europe next season?
well, I think that's a disappointing season because you're not. If you're talking about building,
I think we have to be getting Europe. We have to get Europe. I think.
how are you going to attract players to come and play for you if you're not playing in Europe? You're going to struggle. And like I say, FFP's done us over because ultimately, like best case scenario, if we were to qualify for the Champions League again, you've got this year's Champions League money coming, which means come the summer, you've got a pot of money to spend on decent players, and you've got the attraction of Champions League football.
I think that's the thing. I mean, obviously, ideally, I think the plan would have been to try our best to get Champions League again. I think it was always going to be difficult this season. Chelsea were always going to be better for me. Man U always going to get better as well. Spurs are probably going to get more consistent, although they haven't really. They're bipolar. They're crazy.
Spursy, come on.
Spurs, they're all over the place. Even Brighton, are doing quite well this season. But I think because the money from the Champions League's delayed a season, you essentially don't benefit from it until the following season. So
100%,
it's all dependent on you getting in Europe again.
Yeah.
So we need to get Europe to be able to actually use that money properly and actually invest in the squad. Because actually, I was thinking about this the other day, and which players on the pitch in our starting 11 are actually Emery's? Pau Torres. Onana, if he's fit.
Yeah.
Is that it?
Isn't it? Yeah.
So I was like,
yeah.
Oh, Rogers as well. Did he come in?
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Did he come in?
No, it was last January, wasn't it?
Yeah. So those two, right? They're literally that's it.
So that's three players, mate, from in your starting 11, which is what I was talking about earlier. About he's he's only 2 years into the job. Like any successful team and with a successful coach has stuck with them, and you're trying to build something. Now, we've got a clear philosophy of the way we play, which he doesn't. I don't think he's going to change, which is part of the reason why we're getting screwed over at the moment. And as I said at the start, like, some of these players have hit a ceiling and they're not performing like they were last year, where they were probably they were overachieving. So if we can, is either got to get that level back up somehow, right? But the problem is, as we've already discussed, teams have worked to say it's harder. So you've got to raise another level, and then. And what's concerning for me is from the Crystal Palace game in the Carabao Cup, there has been very little kind of forget about form and taking chances. I'm talking about tempo, desire, like work rate. That seems to have dropped off. It does. Like we're not working as hard as the other teams, and we did that last year brilliantly. And we gave teams games, and even when we were not playing great, we were out probably working them and getting results. And that we had numerous conversations last year, didn't we, about it's a results business, and actually, so it's not always about the performance; it's about growing out the results, and we did that so many times last year.
Well,
Whereas this year, we're just not doing it.
The key thing last season was we went ahead in games early.
Yeah.
This season, I can't remember the last time we went ahead in a game. Like literally, we
Munich,
looked to consider. Not early, was it?
No,
I can't. For the life of me, I can't think of games where we've gone ahead early or haven't conceded in the first 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Like we were just so frail at the start of games, and I don't know because last season we were coming out and we'd come out all guns and we'd be like so upbeat, we'd be in their faces, we'd be on them, and we'd probably get a chance or two. Whereas this season we just don't even. So quickly on to you were talking about players hitting ceilings. I know you have some feelings about like Ollie Watkins and stuff, which we don't always agree. Well, we very rarely agree on. I think on this, but like
25 goals a season, mate.
He did have that chance yesterday, which he should have scored. So what's your what's changed with Watkins? He's a streaky striker anyway. He's a streaky, confidence-based striker. Even last season he had spells where he didn't score for like X amount of games. But then he'd have a spell where everything he touched just went in. And he'd score hat tricks, and he'd score like braces, and he'd get assists. There's no assists. I don't know who. To be fair, I don't know who the hell he's meant to assist because there's no one else who's in any kind of position to get a goal from a Watkins assist.
No. Well, obviously, I know we've had many discussions about this, and where
you can say what you like, mate, on this channel. We can see what people think in the comments if they discover this video.
So a part of it is. I'm overcritical of Watkins because, and I'll say that he's a winger masquerading as a striker. Right? He's had good numbers for 3 seasons, but the fact of the matter is he's not a clinical finisher. And like you say, the difference last year was we creating so many chances, and he probably should have. He scored 15 last year. He should have scored 25, 30 goals with the chances that he had. And even this season, it's been worse. Think of all the games from the start, from the Arsenal game to in practically in every game up to from Arsenal to now, he's had clear-cut opportunities and not taking them. And obviously taking them, you can't score every chance. He's not that kind of player. However, at a crucial moment in games, we're talking the difference between either winning or potentially getting a point. And he's bottled it every time. And yesterday was the same. Confidence low. He's through. He had all the time in the world, and he didn't even look up. He just hit it straight away and hit it straight at the keeper. He takes a great first touch and then doesn't look. The keeper's basically just put it to my left hand side. I'm not going to get it, and he doesn't even look up. So
it's another Gabby.
Yeah, it's in that moment when you've got to think about stuff that you're not clinical enough, and it drives my head insane, mate. Because we just
don't worry, mate. I freaking know. I've seen you at games, and just for anyone that's watching this, Gary at games is absolutely inconsolable when Watkins misses a chance. Oh my god! He basically counts them. He basically counts them, and he's sitting there going, "Should be 4-0. Should be 5-0. Should be 6-0." And I'm just like, "This is ridiculous."
Well, I am not that guy. So every chance that should have been a goal. Should have scored that.
I think the thing is, honestly, we judge him so high, and it's the same with a lot of our players. So Bailey, him. You think about like even Torres. Yeah, Torres last season. You think about all these players. They were so good last season. And that's what we now judge them by. So now we're kind of sitting there. They've made a rod for their own back, right? Like they're kind of we're sitting there going, where is that player from last season? At like literally where. So we don't really care if Watkins is working really hard, running the channels, picking the ball up in deep and laying people off. We're like, he hadn't scored. So we're like, he should be banging in goals. Last season, he'd got like 10 by now or whatever.
I think for anyone that does watch this, I have to kind of give Watkins his dues because I love him as an individual player, right? Because he works his nuts off, etc., etc. And I'll give him that. But your striker, if he's not scoring goals, that's irrelevant. Yeah. It's got to be both, hasn't it? And I can't.
Well, depending on how you play, though. Like, so yes, I totally agree. But like, there are teams that their striker isn't like their main goal scorer. But like for us, the way we play, Watkins should be. But I do think there's so much pressure on him to score goals because no one else is it. Rodgers, like for whatever reason, I think I've said to you about Rodgers. I actually think Rodgers is hampering Ollie's game because he doesn't play the ball early enough. He picks up the ball,
which is weird because at the start of the season, mate, Rodgers was actively looking for Watkins all the time, and it's like to a point where he should have shot and didn't, and he was like, "I want Watkins to get the goal," and he did, and so look, the first 4 or 5 games,
he's lost confidence in him.
We started confidence in him. Well, wouldn't you look at the chances he's missed? Like you know, if that they've all come from Rodgers' assists. The chance against Arsenal, Rodgers could have shot and probably would have done, but selfishly thought, no, this is an important game. We need to win. I'm going to give him a simple tapping. What did he do? Like he could have took a touch. Like he could have walked the ball into the net, and instead he just right. It makes no sense. He might when I watch it again, I've still got that moment, that chance when it's ingrained into the back of my head. I can still close my eyes and see it, and I want to punch him in the face for missing it. I do, right? And then. And there's been so many like that, like the chance against Crystal Palace where Rodgers had a poor game against Crystal Palace in the league, and he plays that beautiful through ball. Watkins takes one touch, and it should have been bang and a goal, but instead he tries to take 2 more touches, and you know they get a tackle back, and that.
But that is a player out. That is a player out of confidence who is questioning every decision he's making when he's on the ball.
It's killing us, though, mate. It's killing us. Yeah. I mean, well, Leon Bailey, like, I cannot believe. I know he didn't start yesterday, but he's had 6 games in a row, and he's been dreadful. Like I don't understand. I'd
argue that actually, I was actually quite surprised to see Jayden starting because I actually thought the last 2 games Bailey started to improve since Cash came back.
Yeah,
I was like, okay. He's looking a bit more like himself, like against Palace, cut in, bang, shot. And it's like, oh, okay, here we go. And then he drops him yesterday. And whether that's minutes or whether, there's been the whole conspiracy that Bailey's carrying an injury for the entire season. So maybe he is. Maybe he's actually like, I'm feeling it. Like I can't play today and Wednesday and next weekend. So, because something about Bailey's just, he's lost that inch of pace. He did this previous seasons where he was made of glass and he'd get injured, he'd come back and he just was never the player. He was nowhere near that speed and that pace and that just raw attack. And then it all clicked. And we were like, oh, okay, he must just be fit again. I don't know if that's happening again.
Yeah, quite possibly. I mean, it's
and he doesn't have Diaby as well, like pushing him or like I was saying, creating space for him.
Yeah,
because we don't have anyone out there now who's making those runs like Diaby was. Because Rodgers then making those runs. Rodgers is very different.
I think Bailey has suffered massively from Diaby not being there, and because ultimately he's got no competition now. Like it's Jayden, and if I'm honest, I think that's a mistake bringing him back. He's looked like a championship player at best. Like he hasn't offered anything, and yesterday was the same. And when you're, I guess, in that position, that you're, and it must be in training as well. Though Bailey's probably thinking, I'm 10 times better than you anyway. Like even when I'm poor, do you know what I mean? And because he's still, even though Bailey has been poor, like you say, last couple of games, I think it was Juventus second half, he was much better in the second half than he was first half. And you go, and whether that's with Cash making overlaps or whatever it was, he was a little bit better, but. Like I say, this low confidence thing is interesting. Just because you would think, with the position that we're in, confidence should be high. Prior to the last 7 games, like everything was clicking. Like the start of the season was brilliant. Like you go, bloody hell! I think I look back at a post from the 22nd of October today, again after beating Bologna, and I put on my Facebook page, it was, Emery's building something special here. This team looks quality, and we did, full of ideas. Tielemans, Onana in the middle looked great. We were packed width out wide. We looked dangerous. Watkins, Durand, like it was all clicking. And then in 6 weeks, 7 weeks, we've just looked like we don't know each other anymore. Like yesterday's game, and the we're slightly better against Juventus, but the Crystal Palace game, the amount of we couldn't pass the ball to each other. Like the pass completion was dreadful.
I remember us watching the passes completed counter. We did manage to catch them. But it was still it was quite bad. It was quite bad. But I think
and ultimately with Emery ball, it's a possession based game, isn't it? So if you're not keeping the ball, which only adds into kind of us conceding goals, we're not keeping the ball well enough.
I have a bit of theory on this. Around when we got battered by Spurs, which I think actually was a really, really bad day at the office, and I think also
bad second half, mate. First half, I thought we had
you're right. Yeah, you're right. But I'm pretty sure McGinn in his interview afterwards said about, or was it Emery? One of them spoke about the pace of the game, and it became too stretched and became too end to end. And that Emery likes us to get up the pitch. Okay, now let's get set again. Let's start going to our patterns of play again. So, because we've seen it millions of times when we're watching at Villa Park, and we're like, go, and we're breaking away, and we're like, just play him in, and we don't. We then stop, we come back, and it's like, right, start again. And I think since that Spurs game, I think that's been over-indexed a bit, and I think we've kind of gone a bit too safe at times. Whereas we do have pace. Like Watkins is always running off the shoulder or spinning off the shoulder. Rodgers can have pace. If you get Durand on the pitch, Jesus, that guy's fast. I didn't realise he was so quick. Bailey has got pace. Yeah, exactly. But I don't know. I think, but what I can't understand, and this is a talking point, is we are leaking goals left, right, and centre in the league. Champions League, we've had 5 games and conceded one, which was Mings picking up the ball. So explain that.
Yeah, well, I solely believe that as good as the Champions League is, right, I think teams, it depends who you're playing, but the teams that we've played, like if you look at the difference, so if we compare like the Bayern Munich game, if you remember that game, right, I thought we were going to get battered in the first 20 minutes because they strung 300 passes together and we had 2 or something like ridiculous, right? And we looked a million miles off the pace. But apart from that Bayern game where we kind of grew into it, every other team we've played, we've controlled the pace. I think they play at a slower pace, particularly the Italian teams. So Bologna, Juventus, they're quite happy to go knock the ball around the back and kind of they don't look to kind of necessarily get in behind all the time. They're possession based teams, so it's been a little bit easier for us. Do you know what I mean? In terms of to not concede because teams are not relentlessly going at us. Whereas in the Premier League, like you say, teams have now worked out, right, we'll just put 8-9 men behind the ball and we'll counter attack you, and and because like you said, that point you just made where you're. We trying to recycle the ball, but because we're not being good in possession, we're losing the ball in key areas, and then we get exposed. And in the Premier League, you get punished, and that's what's happened. Literally every mistake we've made has been punished, and then you're playing catch up, and then it's that vicious circle, isn't it? We go with everyone being not informed.
I think that's the thing. Actually, I think a lot of teams are getting a chance, and they're just taking it.
Yeah,
and we're not.
Yeah.
Whereas last season, there were many games. I remember, was it the Arsenal game last season? We basically had one chance and we scored it. Yeah. And they had a bajillion chances, but just couldn't get in the net. I think that is part of it. Is just, I think people talk about luck in football, and you got to make your own luck and stuff. I don't think we've had a huge amount of luck. I think, we have had a few bits with Durand. Definitely some of those shots weren't. If he did those again, he would probably hit Rosette every time. But yeah, I think that we just need a break, man. We just need a win. If we can get a win, so Wednesday, Brentford. Yeah, Brentford at home.
it's a
We've
massive
got to be
game.
looking to get. We've got to be looking to get a result there, right?
Thing is, and we've got a good record against Brentford at home. Right, we've done all right against them in the last
They're
3 or
playing
4
well,
seasons.
man.
They are
They've
playing
just
well.
battered. Who they just beat? They just battered someone 4-1, didn't they? At home. I can't
Yeah,
remember.
it was it Leicester? I think it was Leicester. Wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Rude. The Rude effect.
Yeah. I think it's a game we could easily lose with the way they play. I'd like to see Emery, like you say, just shore up the ship at the back and not concede a goal and see if we can get back to basics. And I'm sure Emery knows what he's doing. He's not. It is a dip in form, and it's the first one we've had in 2 years, right? So it's difficult to take, but I think we've got to keep the faith. And the next 2 games at home are massive, aren't they? Brentford and Southampton. 2 very winnable games. Win those games, and we're not a million miles off the pace again, and everyone will be going, and all those teams above us, right? Brighton, Notts Forest, Spurs, Man United. Forest. These teams will
They
have
are
dips.
good. It's just all the in-laws are just killing me with it. It's just horrendous. They're just telling us how rubbish we are.
Yeah, but it's the same with all the West Brom and Wolves fans, mate. Like, they come out of the woodwork and they go, "Welcome to the bottom half of the table," and you go, "Yeah, we haven't been there for 2 years, mate. Like, just kind of, we won't be here for very long. Don't worry." The focus on us seems to be, I'll take it, but I'm hopeful. I think if we can win Wednesday, it could be a turning point. Lose, however, and what I don't want to see is calling for, if anyone calls for Emery's head, they absolutely don't know anything about football.
There's stuff. I've seen it. I've seen it, and I'm literally like, you're absolute morons. Like, just don't be a fan. Just don't bother being a fan. You're just a follower of football. You don't know anything about it. You ain't got a clue. Like, literally 2 years ago, we were staring down the barrel of Steven Gerrard taking us down.
I'm going to make a prediction, right? I reckon in 2 seasons' times, right? I think we'll be, if this season goes Pete Tong, right? Let's say, and we don't finish in Europe or whatever. I still think under Emery we'll bounce back and come back stronger. I think he's going to build something. He's trying to build something. And like you said earlier, 3 players on that starting 11 are his. Right, he needs 11 of his players to play the way, like,
And one of them, we tried to sell Diego Carlos. We've been trying to get him out. No one will have him.
Yeah. Well, because he looks pretty and he's got a fantastic body. I've seen it, right? But and that sounds dodgy. I met him at Acorns, and he gives a kid his shirt. That's not. I'm just perving over with binoculars. Oh, look, he's got a wonderful body, right? But he's been a liability, hasn't he? Mistakes have cost us, and same with Torres, really. Great on the ball, but we've got no pace at the back.
That's one thing we missed from Mings.
But
Mings was very good off the line. Like, he would recover very quickly. And I do fear for Mings. I think I said to you the other day, I was like, if he's not in that FA Cup squad, I don't think he's playing for us again.
Yeah, I agree. I think, that
Emery's lost trust there massively.
Well, Emery publicly said, didn't he, that mistake against Bruges was the worst he'd ever seen in football, and so and he hasn't played a single minute since.
No. And arguably we've needed him, really. I mean, even his aerial liability, against Palace. Palace are a big team.
Mateta, isn't he? Like, he's an absolute monster. And
huge.
Yeah, like, what? How old's Mings now? Is he 31? 32?
31, I think. Yeah.
Like, aging centre backs, mate. We need a little bit of youth and pace at the back, like that.
That's like Watkins. Watkins turns 30. So he's older than you think as well. But did you know? So, but what's weird is I think about this like run, and everyone goes, "Oh, it's like the worst thing ever. We're gonna get relegated." And all this, people are going freaking crazy about it. In this, we've only lost in the league to Spurs, Arsenal,
Liverpool,
and Liverpool.
Yeah, and now Chelsea.
Sorry. Oh yeah, sorry. Yeah, Chelsea. To be before, when I was looking at it, I was like, okay, if you said that to me, I'd be like, yeah, like, okay, like Spurs one, you can kind of give or take. I think it's probably just the manner in which we lost a lot of them and like the
Well,
performance.
I think,
And there's been a
you're
lot of draws as well. Had a
And
lot of draws.
It's difficult not to make the comparison to last season. Those games that we played. I mean, apart from Liverpool, we lost last year away, but Spurs away we won. Chelsea, did we draw? Can't remember. Or did we lose in the league at Stamford
Last season
Bridge?
we didn't lose to Chelsea. Last season, I think the last 4 meetings we hadn't lost before this one.
Yeah, and we lost in the FA Cup, didn't we? That's where they beat us.
Yeah.
And in the replay, if you remember, because we went to the away one, didn't we? 0-0.
Yeah, 0-0. Boring.
Yeah, and so it's when you go, okay, so you look a season on and you think, okay, where's the progression in the squad? And all those teams, Spurs, Chelsea, we all said it, and you've said it earlier. We knew they were going to be better, and they were, and we haven't matched them. And that's the difference at the moment. We until we need that magic spark back. I don't know where it comes from. I mean, it brings my question. My question in my head is January. Is he going to bring players in? Has he got? Is that going to happen?
I don't think he's got the fun. I don't think we've got. I think for it to happen, we need outgoings. I think our fringe players need to go. I can't believe Phil Coutinho's still on our books. I only found this out the other day. He's at Vasco da Gama on 135k a week, and he's.
Are we paying that whole salary?
I highly doubt they're paying much of it. But 2026, he's got till. He's still got another 2 years. Still got. It's ridiculous. But I mean, our next games, right? So our next 3 in the league before Man City. So I'm going to leave that one. Are although at the moment, who knows?
They look worse than us, mate.
Yeah, I think I said to you today, could be worse, could be City. Yeah. Brentford, Southampton. Then we've got Leipzig in the Champions League, and then we've got Forest. Now, obviously, Forest for me is a absolutely massive game.
Family ties, isn't it, mate?
Yeah, but if we're coming off the back of 2 wins going into that game away at Forest, I don't know, mate. I think the way they play, although no, they're counter-attacking. This is the thing, right? I feel like all these successful teams at the moment this season. Yeah, and I think it's because so many people are play out from the back or highlight football. I think teams are just getting caught out now by old school counter-attacking Martin O'Neill days. This is what it feels. And
well, mate, the reason why Forest are doing so well and will struggle against them is because they have 2 fast wingers and a centre forward. So what I'm saying is, but they're creating chances for him. You've got 2 fast wingers who are providing service for him, and I can't help feel if we could do that for Watkins, maybe get on the score sheet and play. If you think this is the other thing that baffles me. Like last year, Watkins was told to basically stay in between the 18-yard area, wasn't he, and cover that ground, right, for all his running that he does. And you get goals. He hasn't done that as much this season.
Because no one's getting it to him, so he's like, I need to freaking get involved.
So he's trying to get involved, dropping deeper, and then you've got nothing in the box. Our wonderful set piece coach, who I love dearly with his long hair, Austin Fee, literally stealing at Fee for 4 seasons. How has he survived for 4 seasons?
Look, I'm just for anyone who does end up watching this, just so you know, Gaz, last season we were. I am 90% sure, or at some point during the season last season, we were like Europe's highest scoring set piece team.
Okay. Right,
all of Europe.
I will accept that. Right, however, right, forget about the rest of Europe. Just if we were to delve a little bit deeper, and maybe we can do this for next time, right, to see how many set pieces we had last season, right?
Okay,
and compare that to goal. I don't know, conceding goals and scoring goals. So overall, how many set pieces did we have, right?
Okay.
And what were the outcomes, right? Because I promise you, even though it was probably the highest in Europe, I bet you any money the comparison to what it is very low. Like in terms of, let's say,
interesting. You're saying like the percentage.
Yeah, I don't know the stats, but off the top of it, let's say we had 200 set pieces, right? And we probably, we have 10 goal involvements, but concede 30 goals. I'd be like, mate, get rid of him, right? Get him in the office now. Let's sit him down, right? I think it's not working out, mate. I think I could do this better myself, right? I can't stand seeing that guy get up off the bench every set piece to watch us, particularly the Crystal Palace game. Do you know where they scored their second goal? Right?
Yeah.
You know, he's there
It's a
directing.
carbon copy of Liverpool.
Yeah, let's just get the big centre halves into the box, and then let's play it short and lose the ball. Like, is that they work around the training ground today? What is it in terms of scoring goals? I don't. What's he? He's got confused, isn't he? Like,
I don't know why we're committing all players forward when it's already happened before. Like
it's
a couple of games ago.
I think the set piece thing's been a problem for 4 years. I think it's an issue. Now, why
we're lacking size though. Without Onana, we
do lack size massively.
And without Mings as well, we lack aerial threat.
Well, we don't. It'd be interesting this year. Again, like I say, we just look like we lack any kind of aerial threat or any physical presence in the middle. You know, and I just it needs to. We need to kind of invest, like you say, by getting rid of Carlos and whoever else, right?
Well, let's ask on that quickly. So January, you're not going to make many signings.
No,
but I would say, you know, right wing and right back, like that right side basically. Because Cash gets injured too much. You can't keep putting Conser out wide. Bailey's completely out of form, and Jadon. By the way, on that, I think Jadon only came back for European regulations. Basically, we had to get rid of Diaby because we needed home squad, so we needed squad players of homegrown talent. So we got Jadon back. But
FFP screwed us, mate. No,
do you think right back or right wing? If you had to choose one,
right wing, because we. It's difficult, but I think we are. You know, you win football matches by scoring goals, and you can do that by scoring more goals than the opposition. You're always going to concede goals, right? Yes, you want to tighten it up. It would be my secondary choice. And you know, there was. I'm not saying this is going to happen or whatever, but you know, there's lots of speculation to start the season about Frimpong from Bayer Leverkusen, right? And watched him in the Europa League against West Ham last year. And
it was Nico Williams as well, wasn't there?
And Nico Williams, and I know that's probably a million miles off, but we need those kind of quality of players who are just dangerous on the ball. Do you know what I mean? That make stuff happen. Like Rodgers has been that at the start of the season, but has gone off the boil and he plays central. But in terms of width, we look so void of ideas. Do you know what I mean? Like it's just there's no creativity. We get into some good positions, and very rarely do we create great opportunities. Do you know what I mean? Like if you look at yesterday's game, yes, we did create, but 2 or 3 chances maybe max.
Yeah, we gave away so many.
We gave away so many.
But this is why I would say right back. I think right back has been a problem for about 3 or 4 years. We've had one right back basically over the course of that time. Matty Cash. There is no one else that will play that role.
Don't you speak of my Matty Cash?
No. I like.
You know I love him.
No. I like Matty Cash.
Mate. I like. Matt, if you ever get to see this, I know
he's
you.
Matty. I know you see me. Of this video.
Yeah,
but Matty. He's a consistent 6 or 7 out of 10, right? Like he's a good player, but he's so injury prone, soft tissue injuries constantly, and it means that's why we end up having to move the back four around. That's why we have to have Carlos. We have to, and also having a better wing back. Does that make Bailey better? Because we know Bailey can do it. We know he can do it. So I'm just kind of like, get a really good right back, like a really good solid right back, fast pace wing back, overlapping on Bailey, giving him more space to run around. I think that needs to be the priority for me.
Well, I do agree with that to a certain extent. I do. I think I would like to see 2 things. If that was to happen, if that was to happen, because and this is probably me being totally naive, but when you have good wing backs, right? It seems a lot of teams only focus on one side, right? So
we focus on our left.
We focus on our left, don't we? Right.
Well, a left wing back and right winger. Yeah.
But it's always baffled me that that you don't look to play with 2 and to be able to mix it up, right? Because otherwise you become very predictable. We know that everything's going to come down the left-hand side, so you become easy to defend against. So, and I know Luca Dean's been one of our better players this year, right?
Great. Yeah.
But Matsson's also, I think, offers so much more. Like, but he's not had any run of games, any kind of time to think. Now watching him last year for Dortmund, mate, he was class. He's full of pace.
Yeah.
He's got so much more pace than Digne. I'm not saying he's not had enough games to say can he
He was
create more.
poor against Palace though.
Yes,
He was really poor. He was poor.
All right, okay, I'll give you that one.
He got caught out a fair bit. But what I don't understand is why we're not trying him out on left wing.
Well,
why we're not putting him on left wing? Because we did it against Bayern, I think, I think he came on about an hour.
Mate,
and he was immediately
he's got pace to burn. Yeah. He's got pace to burn. I think I'd like to see that utilised a little bit more. And I just think, mix it up. And if you were to get a right sort, like a decent, like say, replacement for Cash, it just gives us better options both sides, and it makes us a bit more unpredictable, which is what we need. And like you say, with a better right back, Bailey will probably perform. He needs that person overlapping him, and and also someone who's good defensively, because Bailey is so hit and miss defensively. There's times when he'll do it and he'll put in the work and get back. But there's so many times where if like now when he's low on confidence, where he's not at the races, he's a million miles off
it's just not. I mean, it's the new hair. He's even tried a new haircut, and that
didn't work. The corn rolls have just tightened his brain. No, just Jesus.
So Wednesday, then Brentford under the lights. I'm not
Every
going.
week we follow.
Mate, it's far too late for me to get there and get home.
Well, I'm hoping to go, but Ava has training. For anyone that's my daughter. I'm just seeing if I can rearrange it so I can go. But I think it's a massive game not to lose. I don't mean performance. I just think to get a result. Do not lose this game. Right, a draw. I think we've touched on it earlier. A draw against this Brentford side who are in form. I've got dangerous wing players and play the kind of football that could easily beat us. I think it has to be just do not lose this game. Like, all backs to the wall. Like, just play 9-1, right, and just try and hit on the counter attack. Like, just put everyone on the line.
Put Duran up front. It'll probably still score.
And let Duran run around like a mad thing. Like, just because losing it, you go eight games without a win, right? And
that'd be 8. Would that be 9?
Is it 9?
It's 8 now, isn't it?
Yeah.
So it'd be 9.
So in 9 games, and you go into the Southampton game, and with a team that,
because they'll sit behind the ball. They'll just sit behind the ball.
They will sit behind the ball, but that will work into their favour.
They do play.
Again.
Yeah, they do play. Yeah,
I watched their game last week against Liverpool, mate, and they were unlucky.
Yeah, they were all right, weren't they? Yeah,
they play all right. Like, there's no easy game in the Premier League. You're not going to turn up and just win the games. You've got to earn the right, and I just worry we're not doing that at the moment. So Wednesday just becomes this massive don't lose game to try and beat Southampton. On is it Sunday, whatever it is. So
Saturday at 3.
Yeah, so I'd take 4 points from these 2 games. If it's the other way around, do you know what I mean? Like,
I think we need this win. I think if we don't get this win, I don't think we beat Southampton.
I agree. With that.
I think the just like a team we arguably should be beating, and obviously, like you said, can't take for granted against any team. But and also, I think because if you don't win against Brentford and then possibly don't win against Southampton, you got Leipzig away. Can't see us. I personally can't see us get anything in Europe. Europe away, we're terrible.
Yeah.
And then you got Forest away, and then you got City. And I'm just okay, we've now gone 12 games without a win.
But then you've got Newcastle away on Boxing Day.
Yeah. No, this is what I'm saying. We have to win. It's not a must. It's not a must win. It's not a must win game, but we have to win it.
So suddenly we'll be 15 games without winning in the relegation zone, mate. Like
it's quite scary.
It is quite scary how fast this month in particular. There's lots. 8 or 9 games.
We just need someone to step up.
Yeah,
I don't know what the deal is on Onana or Ramsey. It's so frustrating, Ramsey. I'm not gonna, because this podcast could go on forever.
Yeah,
but Ramsey, he was just getting to a level. He was looking really good. I can't remember which game it was they got injured in, but he was playing really well.
Yeah,
and he was the best player for us on the pitch. Gets crocked, and then it's gone to shit again. It's so frustrating.
It is frustrating, mate. I think like Emery, I'd never want to bemoan injuries. I think if you have injuries in the squad, that's fine. You players need to. That gives other players an opportunity to step up,
Yeah, they need
which
to step up,
which
but they're
hasn't
not.
happened,
They're not.
and that's part of the problem. So I would. These guys have got to come back stronger, and why are they getting injured? What's wrong with Ramsey? Like, is it his foot? I know he broke his
I
metatarsal,
think it's
but
also a reason. I think it's also a reason why it's going to be hard for us to make him like a real first team starter. And if we ever do come to sell him, I think it'll also become a bit of a sticking point there as well.
yeah,
But Anana, he's also just that's a couple
yeah.
of injuries or niggles he's had now as well. Bit made of
But
glass.
well, it's like
Um,
he's been playing with an injury because he was taken off at half time for 3 games in a row, wasn't he?
yeah,
Like,
I remember. I remember.
that
Yeah.
that was weird.
Yeah, I mean that's probably a talk for another time because Emery
Yeah.
he seems to be changing it up a fair bit this season. I'm not sure on that either. But if you had to put a tenner on Brentford score,
Oh God. Okay. Well, we're definitely going to concede. So, because that's what we do, right? So
yeah.
I'm going to go. It's going to be 2-1 Villa. I can't bet
Well, you got
against
to
us.
2-1 now. You're now saying we're going to win. When you were
Yeah.
saying before you're thinking a draw. Oh, I was
No,
going to go 2-1. I'm going to go. I can. I was going to
I
go.
think.
I was going to go for a win, but now you come for a win. I'm going to go for a Desmond. I'm going
Okay.
2-2.
Well, so for
I think
me,
a must-win game.
my heart. Obviously, for every game, I'm always going to bet against for us that we're going to win. Right? I have that little belly butterfly in my belly that says, "Come on, this
Just to
is
be
the game."
clear, I never bet on us.
Yeah.
I'm just like ruins my bet every time.
Yeah, absolutely. But my head says a draw would be a good result on Wednesday. So obviously, I'd love us. I think 2-1 is
How
my
the
heart.
mighty have fallen to be sitting there going, I'll take a draw against Brentford at home.
Yeah.
Bloody hell.
Mate, it's depressing. Just 1 point on the board. But I take a
Yeah.
boring 0-0 at this point. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just to kind of keep a clean sheet.
Something, anything.
Back to basics. It has.
A Bailey
We have to go
goal.
back to
Can you
basics.
imagine a Bailey goal? That's my hot take. Bailey goal.
Yeah.
Bailey goal.
Come on.
Well,
Leon Bailey.
right.
Yeah. Mate,
I'm gonna end it. Oh, go on. What are you gonna say?
I just if no, we can't do that. Forget that. I was just going to say I'll have a Jamaican flag if that happens. I was going to say something else, but no, it's just.
I don't want to know.
No.
Anyway, on that note, I'm going to call it a day. But thanks everyone, or that one person that's probably watched this video. If you liked it, give it a thumbs up. If you loved it, give it a sub.
Subscribe. We're going to be back. We're going to be doing it anyway. So just it might be
we'll just keep doing
it. But just if you feel like a chat,
when we get relegated, it'd be brilliant.
Mate, they'll all be coming then because we'll be the only one surviving. All these glory hunters just
all these
disappear.
other channels are gone.
Yeah.
Right. Well, catch you next time, guys. We'll be back probably. I think we're going to try and do this at least once a week. So probably next Monday, if not later this week.
Well, it'll be good to discuss the Brentford and after we drew against Brentford and beat Southampton. Every week we follow.
Right. Catch you, guys.
See you later. Bye.